I mean, imagine if they did beat L5 2-0 here in the group stage. I think that would make a pretty big statement.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy if it did come their way, but the unordinary should be expected here on Cursed Hollow, especially with it being European meta.
But E-Star's probably hoping this is a 2-0 for
right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, guys, we'll take that first place handedly.
All right, let's get into it. Anubarak is going to be banned by them. And yeah, I think they figured out the draft strategy pretty quickly from game to game.
But that's the thing, isn't it? All the teams we talked to in the pre-game interviews, no matter what continent they were from, they said, Europe showed us Anubarak.
Yep.
And Europe seems to play it pretty darn well. JPL there with the rewinds, the cocoons, the engage. This was a big part of their comeback. Genji, he was a big threat by L5.
That he
was. Him again.
Shred the back line constantly. I mean, you're completely correct. If you're not playing Anubarak in EU, you're not competitive. It's that simple. It's one of the strongest picks you can pick up in Europe at the moment. So, Anubarak now being unavailable, Team Dignitas will show their colors here. And I am wondering if we will see some of the unordinary here. The Abathur, the Greymane, things that we may not see very often, or even later on, the Vikings. Xaylia has shown a lot of work in the Vikings as of late. He's played it twice, I believe, in the last couple of weeks in the HGC, and he's been pretty impressive on those heroes.
Right there on the screen is Snitch, and he's one of the key cogs to why their team works. I always try and highlight him is that, you know, Bakery, top-tier support. You have all of these great players, but Snitch is their Abathur player. He gives you the flexibility on your team and in your draft to try and do whatever it is your team needs to do. The Uther pick, there's some key strategies there that Bakery was talking to me about before this. We'll see what they draft before I reveal anything. But this early draft with Uther and Abathur are key to Dignitas. I love Snitch on so many levels with what he does for this team.
I love the draft so much. For Dignitas so far, Uther and Abathur means there's gonna come a hero with a massive impact in terms of damage. We're thinking about Greymane here. Now, Tyrael, he's pretty good against hard engage.
He's also pretty good for L5 in general. Incredible win rate with that hero. Noblesse has been an absolute beast.
I mean, you mentioned Greymane, but that's got to be the ban for L5, surely, looking at this.
Right, so what are the alternatives here? Zeratul's off the map, so Zeratul, Jaina, and Greymane are three primary pairings with Abathur. Why? It's because you don't care about survivability as the Abathur clone. You care about damage and burst, and these heroes have it. Zeratul's gone. Greymane presumably going to get banned. And Jaina doesn't work well without Zeratul. So I'm thinking, what is that Abathur going to lead to? What kind of copy are they planning to do?
One Dignitas special is the Zul'jin. They had an Zul'jin in the past. They ran multiple times. Better on Towers of Doom, but they have ran it once on Cursed Hollow as well in BOE. Granted, with Genji being introduced to the meta since then, though, that becomes a very major threat that I wouldn't want to pick Zul'jin into. But it is a Dignitas special.
And Tyrael can Holy Ground Zul'jin off. But of course, Zul'jin, during 4 glorious seconds, he does have that Taz Dingo invincibility. Illidan would have been a great pick. There we go. Greymane. Of course.
I feel that as much as the Illidan pick, the ban came in, I am very surprised by that. I think the Greymane should have been the absolute target.
Did we hear a woohoo from Snitch?
Yes,
did he actually cheer because Illidan got banned?
I mean, I think it's understated when I know this team very, very well. And, whoa, hello. Hello, fella.
That's really weird. I just heard Baker say that's weird, too.
Technically, L5 has run this in the past. Nazeebo has been a very common pick for them on this battleground. Ragnaros, not as common, but has been picked before. I do worry about it with this composition, though.
This just blows my mind. Like, I think if this was an L5, I wouldn't even accord them the respect of calling this a draft. Like, I could be wrong here, but I'm just super surprised. Nazeebo, 100% loss rate so far. Ragnaros hasn't been doing that well.
Lava Wave versus Abathur.
This is the true delay. It's a true delay. But they want to take it long. Ragnaros will help them do that.
Here's the problem. If you ever miss out on a rotation, Ragnaros doesn't get into a point where you can actually defend against a fort in any way, shape, or form. So you don't delay long enough. You get pressure pushing into certain areas if Team Dignitas is crisp and on point the entire time. Ragnaros rotating between the middle and the top and the bottom, it takes light years, it seems like, on this big of a battleground against a Greymane.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I'm sitting here thinking this has to be Murden, right? This has to be Murden, but JPL has...
he's such a sick he's such a sick Stitches.
He's got a highlight reel of Stitches plays in the past. I mean, go back to Western Clash. I mean, although it was Tomb, but I'm a little bit surprised that's not Murden, just standard go with this
comp. But what did we just say? Nazeebo, Ragnaros, they're there to buy time.
Yeah.
Can you against the hook? Can you buy
It's true.
time?
No,
There's
Stitches
good follow-up.
forces. Yeah.
The other thing I like about it is that with that team, generally you see Stitches, like we saw it in a game earlier, where like Deadly Kittens drafted Stitches against 4 heroes, Tassadar, all these heroes that had some type of mobility or some way to get away. Outside of Genji, like their team doesn't necessarily have the most mobility.
Malf, Ragnaros, and Nazeebo are good hook targets.
Very good.
That's 3 out of 5. Every other time we've seen Stitches so far, there was 1 target. This is much better. Still, this is an execution-based composition with Stitches. You need to have good follow-up. But you know, Dignitas, they just showed excellent execution.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be interesting for sure. This has definitely got some Dignitas spice about it in the draft. Overall, I want to kind of hear what you guys think about how these two squads match up against one another when it comes to this map. Do you think that Dignitas is going to have more leeway over this?
To be honest, I think Dignitas has better rotation. They have 2 globals, so they have more map control. They can choose when and where to fight. They've got a hook against 3 viable targets. They have Abathur on a giant map, on Cursed Hollow, one of his best maps, against 2 heroes that have almost no wave clear in Genji and Tyrael. Not great anyway. Nazeebo is a little bit above average. I think Dignitas has this draft dead to rights.
All right, well, I'm going to get predictions, boys.
That's where I'm sitting, too. I really think Abathur doesn't get too much value here. They have no global, which you typically want to handle that Abathur, especially on Cursed Hollow. And Dignitas in a spot where they have comfortable picks. I'm going with them.
Jay, how?
Dignitas has to get their early lead. They need to use Abathur, they need to get the soak, they need to have a lot of value out of the early picks, out of the early tribute phases, else I feel late game, if they don't stretch that lead 1 to 2 levels, they're going to fall back. I really think that this could be a long game, which to me favors L5. I'm going with L5 this game.
Grubster.
I love L5 as a team, a big fan of them, and I'm afraid to root against them because of their prowess.
Yeah.
But I see everything in favor here of Dignitas, and I even think they have margin for error. I don't think it's even that hard for them to win this game.
Right.
I'm going with Dignitas.
All right, thank you very much, gents. It's getting serious here for the mid-season brawl. Currently, Dignitas leads 1-0 here in this best of 2. Let's check in with what you guys think. That has shifted just a little bit as we head over to the commentary team now for Game 2. It's going to be on Cursed Hollow, and it's brought to you by Tetra and Dread.
Thank you very much, Kalaris, and this could be a long one, Dreadnought.
I'm excited for it. It is a very unique composition, and more importantly than anything, I am ecstatic to be able to see JPL on Snitches. That guy is just ridiculous with the hooks.
Yes, he is. But for now, let us introduce our Korean team. It is going to be L5 with SESC on Genji, Noblesse on Tyrael, Swoi on Malfurion, Jongha on Ragnaros, and Nacho Jin on Nazeebo.
And something I don't know if I expected to say, Team Dignitas has one game here. Bakery this time on Uther. Snitch is going to be on the Abathur. Zalia playing Dahaka. Greymane played by Mene. And as always, as I said, the Stitches by JPL.
Stitches is starting off with a slam build.
Yes, yeah. It's considered meta at this point. Yeah. That is the standard build here for Stitches.
You can still afford to go for Fishing Hook. This is the joy of the slam build. You miss out on a little bit of cooldown reduction and some slow, but you do still get some value.
Yeah, it's about the... Oh, nice frag. The follow-up.
Dead.
Wow, that is... telling, I feel like, of this game. The fact that nobody had shown anywhere onto the map, and just that L5 would even risk that beautiful job by Zaylee, getting the drag followed up by the stun. And Dignitas already gets first blood. That's, you know, got to be a momentum problem here for L5 now, because we already know that mentality here could be weakening.
Absolutely, a 30-second first blood is always unencouraging, but at least it's better then than later in the game where you're like, okay, this is going to be worth more XP, whereas now it's like, okay, reevaluate, we have some time before the objective spawns. That's what L5 need to be doing. So, Dignitas, very small XP lead. Like we said, kills this early on, not hugely impactful on the XP score.
They are not, and we already got to look at the early game that we know against Abathur compositions. Typically, when you have the Abathur, you're losing front walls, you're losing structures somewhere onto the map, and so far, thanks to that convenient pick at level 1, really L5 has been unable to, you know, further any of the lanes, drain any of the ammo, and that is another sign of just a small thing that could really add up here for Dignitas with this style of composition. You always have to be looking at structures when you have an Abathur composition.
As you do, Stitches attempted to hook Tyrael dead, and one, stop him mounting up and rotating, two, get some damage using the tower ammo onto him. Wasn't able to land it though, so instead we are continuing to see JPL play a little bit further back. But other than top lane, huge pressure which has huge pressure onto it, sorry. None of the other lanes, L5 been able to achieve a huge amount in.
It's funny because, you know, on one side, L5 has the Nazebo, which, you know, wants the late game, but on the other side is the Abathur, which has the weak early game. It's not necessarily that Abathur wants a later part, it's just that he's better in the later parts of the game, right? So it's just an interesting dynamic that traditionally you see so much pressure into the early parts of the game against an Abathur, and L5 is conveniently letting that go through here for Dignitas. Again, as the analyst said, it's just a small thing that really kind of leads and leans towards the advantage of Dignitas.
Yes, it does. So we are creeping towards our first objective as JPL is creeping back towards his own base, not able to land a hook, even with Xaylia coming in once again. Very similar to last game. Both these teams rotating around, attempting to find kills, but everyone playing a little bit too safe.
And one awesome thing about that style of rotation where we saw the hook and then just a burrow, it's something that they can drop left and right purely based on the fact that they do have the Abathur, so he can get that soak elsewhere. But now we saw that burrow gank attempt through mid. Dahaka, Xaylia already showing himself through top. So now L5 knows that there is no burrow for a long while here over this tribute.
However, with Abathur, they're not using the Abathur to body soak because it would be far too risky. They are just delaying this as long as possible. Hook on Malfurion, Uther stun, but speed boost from Ragnaros, getting him out of there. Very nice.
Dignitas, if they get one more delay, they will not be able to.
First tribute going over to Swoy, but not a huge amount was lost. Abathur was not able to soak too much XP because of the pressure that Tyrael was putting onto that lane and the fact that all the rest were soaked. Good reaction so far from L5. Even Nitrogen will survive this despite good engage there by Xaylia.
Yeah, it's just the fact that Xaylia burnt the burrow there. Hey, you know, Dignitas, if they got one more delay, I was keeping track of the cooldown, it was legitimately 3 seconds off. So if that stall had happened, Dignitas would have actually been able to commit to that tribute. It's just unfortunate that the beautiful positioning here of L5 zoned them out. A hook comes in. No drag.
Bakery missed. Bakery wasn't in range. Nitrogen again, escape artist this game.
Yeah, very much. Being able to keep himself alive, and it's all about this next, you know, tribute, how the map is going to be laid out here. Because Dignitas, obviously, the first one didn't work the way that they wanted to. How is the secondary one going to happen? Is the Abathur with this Night Camp going to pressure out? Because neither of these teams, well, that's not true. L5's looking for kills, kind of, but they have the Nazebo and they want to wait it out. And Team Dignitas has the Abathur, so they're waiting for the game for their comp to come online with 10. It's very weird that these are aggressive heroes and aggressive comps, but both of them are kind of like, if we could wait until we get our heroics, that would be just dandy.
No fight for 5 minutes, guys, please. We need to farm. So, like you said, both teams playing it safe. Neither one, by the looks of it, will have 10 for this. And in fact, L5 just abandoning it completely. It's on Dignitas' side of the map. It's way too far away for them to risk. Abathur would probably get some soaking there. So instead, they just let it go. They even up the tribute count to 1-1.
And I think that though this game looks even, it's the best, it's just flat even, I don't think it is. I genuinely think that by how many things L5 is getting up beyond just a mentality perspective with Abathur on the side, the Dignitas is winning everything, and that should almost never happen, just period. Even though you do have the Nazebo in the late game, the macro will be able to outscale it if Dignitas is successful here through the mid and late game, and they very much are going to be so far. But more importantly than anything, I feel like part of that reflects mentality of L5. It does. I know they have a slow composition, and yes, it doesn't necessarily thrive until 10, but all of their rotations, all of their transitions do seem to be 5 seconds, 10 seconds too late, and that is very unlike them.
Now it looks like they're going to start giving away at least 1 kill. Down goes Nazebo. 2 kills to 0 so far, and that's giving Dignitas, at this point in the game, that little boost they need to get to that level 10. Even with level 10, it's not going to be a curse with the next tribute, being it only 1-1, but it does put it very much in favor of Dignitas.
Yeah, Dignitas here at full control of the game. Again, it doesn't seem like it, but there is a huge staggered advantage for Dignitas purely based on the fact that they have the Abathur comp and they're winning. They're even in tributes. They're winning in the experience. This is an amazing position to find themselves in.
So Uther, what is he going with here? Divine Shield to protect the Greymane, let him carry, or Divine Storm to counteract that Genji. We will see with what Genji picks. Here comes the Molten Core very early, delaying this out. as they need Malfurion to rotate up. Nazeebo is not here with them. He is instead pushing bot lane, dealing with the mercenaries down there. We have Sulfura Smash, Sanctification, the Gargantuan, Twilight Dream, and Genji remains mysterious. There we go. It is the Dragon Blade. But Dignitas moving in. CSC, though, good harassment with the Shuriken.
Well, look at that. The Molten Core, yes, it did delay, and the idea is, well, Nazeebo is getting to the back half of the game. Nice drag, the follow-up stun. Noblesse doesn't have the Eldruin to be able to get out here.
CSC reaches the halfway point on his Q stacking talent and is able to escape, but this does pretty much give it over to Dignitas, and they're looking for a kill as well. Tyrael, though, tanking through, but that makes it 2 tributes to 1 in favor of Dignitas, and Bakery is still holding on to his heroic.
Yeah, he is. I'm trying to figure out what the thought process behind this is. Now that he knows his opponents, I don't know if he's taking the time to hit the tab and check it out, but what would he be holding for at this point in time? Traditionally, you would expect that is going to be the Divine Shield because you have double Greymane. That is standard. But again, you respond to the Genji but you know the Judgment and the Sanctification situation. So why hold it even farther? Is there a talent at 13? I know I'm asking you, and I'm the support guy, but I've never seen this, at least not out of Bakery.
Like, unless he is waiting for SCSC to go in and then insta-picking the Divine Storm, which would be some insane reactions, but if anyone would do it, it would be Bakery. I
mean, you can always make the argument in a min-max world, there's no reason. Oh my goodness. Already Ragnaros getting caught once again. They're into a 1 versus 1. The clone's going to drop.
Shield.
Divine Shield's online. Gosh.
Waited a long time for it, but he now has it. Gargantuan is dropped. Tyrael able to delay, but Bakery focusing him down. And Noblesse, once again, in danger. They're waiting for it. Which way is he going? He's going all the way back. And finally, Eldarin's in. Everyone's too far away to stop it.
Yeah, the Garg is going to be a problem for Dignitas for a small while. So waiting out that timer. Right now, they're going to be fine to aggress back here onto it. Now, but Clone's down. We have no ultimate evolution. Abathur is comfortable with a bit of delay, and also Ragnaros should have that Molten Core delay if in case L5 finds it advantageous for themselves.
Abathur not showing at the moment, as Rag isn't showing, so he doesn't know if he can body soak. Now that Rag is shown, he's moving in, but it is showing via the Molten Core. Damage being dropped onto Dig. Nacho Jin will get the tribute with this at minimum. The question is, can they get more? Hook onto Swoy. Sanctification and Twilight Dream. That was the wrong hook target, JPL. Here comes Genji. Gets one, getting dropped low, and he gets out with almost no, never mind. Abathur symbiote to a minion, getting the kill onto Genji.
Yeah, I really think that was a misplay on the side of Team Dignitas, mainly because once the ultimate evolution was used, they were down in the heroic advantage. One hard initiation, which we saw would be successful on the side of L5. Yeah. I respect the delay attempts, but there was definitely hanging out a little bit too long once knowing that they were down, and Abathur was in prime position. Delaying was awesome. You see this, the Molten Core being used, walk away, maybe fling out one spell for a delay. But either way, L5, for the first time this game, looks like they are going to punish Team Dignitas for their weaknesses.
Yes, they are, and they are in a situation where they are now even on tributes, even on levels, even on talents. And this is exactly where L5 want to be, as the next tribute is on their side of the map. And that is a huge deal. Mid being pushed up, but this does mean that these bruisers will die first, as they will reach the towers first. Hook on Rag, stun onto him. Can Zhongha survive?
Yeah, Zhongha is just taking a bit of damage there from the Putrid Bile. SCSC actually falling very, very low. And Nacho Jin, so much damage from JPL on the stitches, man.
This Gargantuan, though, being an absolute scum, trying to take him down here. SCSC over the wall for harassment, puts himself in danger, gets stunned mid-hook there, is able to escape. Here is the clone onto Greymane, and now Dignitas in the defensible position here. SCSC back over the wall. Snitch with the clone is putting huge pressure onto Swoy, meaning he is not available for these kind of fights. The clone, though, will go down.
All these things are things that Dignitas wants. Time is in their side. This tribute, we have to remember that even if this curse happens, as long as L5 doesn't get a colossal teamfight and wipe Dignitas, they are still slowly gaining advantage in this game. And with that hook, with that follow-up, Dignitas find themselves another pick.
Beautifully done there. Tyrael had just used his Elder... Oh, never.
Wow.
Nice one, Zalia. But yeah, Tyrael had just used his Elderins to scout the bush, so he had no escape. Hook onto Zhongha, trying to focus him down. JPL is low in the zombie wall, but that is already 2 kills. And Greymane is going even deeper, but he can't follow. Soy saving himself with the root.
And look at this. Dignitas just got 3 kills. Abathur was split pushing and side soaking on top. Giants were pushing that entire time on bottom, and conveniently, they've now got themselves the curse rolling up on 16 talents here. Dignitas, that lead I was talking about earlier, now it is even bigger. This is a moment for them to truly open up the map and make this game nearly unwinnable for L5. Pretty much the exact opposite of what we saw last game.
Basically, indeed, but we are seeing right now a boss trade. L5 grabbing their own, Dig grabbing their own, because bot and top 4 already went down to minions and mercs.
This actually is an advantage for L5. Anytime Dignitas is not sieging during the middle of a curse, yes, Abathur is getting pressure onto the side, but it is still better to have those 5 members to waste the time onto the boss. It's essentially Dignitas. It's not nearly as bad if you don't have an Abathur. Abathur takes away a lot of those problems, but it still is a nice breathing room in a moment here for L5 because they have a long while. The curse, essentially only 2 forts were going to be lost.
Well, they took down 3 forts. Mid went down to the minion wave as well. So there is no defense left here in terms of tier 1s for L5. As Dig moving on to tier 2s, but with only 4 seconds left, they land the hook onto Swoy, who is going to cease to exist.
I don't know what I just heard, but I heard screaming of hook, 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 I believe, before it even landed, dude. That is a Molten Core going to be used, not interrupted. Jungha, the Molten Swing, the Sulfurous Smash, it's dodge, Sanctification, and the Divine Storm is going to, or shield is used, but Jungha is down once more.
They land the hook. It was on a minion, though. JPL not able to grab them. They're trying to move here. The boss still has a lot of health. Snitch dropping low, but it's just the clone. Maida pulling back. They get the kill onto the Zebo. Dignitas moving in at the 12-minute mark. Genji is trying to go big. The last hope for L5.
It's going down 50, 40, 30, and this is going to be it.
GG and Dignitas in a 2-0 second game, convincingly won by them.
A lot of that came down to the draft here in this game. And another thing to note is just Jungha, 4 deaths there in that game. Dignitas was just picking on him left and right between Zalia with the drag starting at level 1 and then hooks left and right from JPL, especially the one on Swoy that was essentially the beginning of the end.
And that makes this group even more exciting, with now Dignitas and E-Star, and I think L5 as well, all tied at the top with 3 points, with E-Star and L5 still to play against each other, Dreadnought.
Yeah, and even though this is a slightly different format of a tournament than we ever have, the fact that Dignitas did go 2-0 essentially in a best-of-3 would be a win.
Yeah.
This is really the second Western team to ever take out a Korean team, or at least win like that against a Korean team.
And let's hear more about it from our analysts at the Analyst Concave. Take it away, Kalaris.
Thank you, guys. Nothing short of spectacular, realistically, when it comes to this 2-0 victory here for Team Dignitas. I'm joined by the boys once again, and what can you say? What a victory for Team Dignitas.
They freaking did it, man. They got a 2-0 over a Korean team, and boy, you put JPL on that Stitches, and he's going to make some plays happen. What a phenomenal performance by him in that game in particular. Yeah. Absolutely great ending, especially when we got Swoy.
Okay, so admittedly, after yesterday's series, we saw Dignitas on the way back. Now we get to see them on the way back tonight.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Moods are going to be a little different tonight, right?
Yeah,
I think that they played exceptionally well. They drafted exceptionally well. I couldn't be more impressed with the performance today from Dignitas.
Stellar play, Grubby.
Yeah, I think everyone really brought it here. Menin, not on his traditional mage, adapting to the meta, playing Greymane. It's not his first time, but still, excellent play. Snitch getting the solo kills with a little bit of Abathur help on Ragnaros. Just everything was on point. Divine shields, the hooks, amazing play.
Well, Grubby, what have you got for us is the big question.
All right, I got something that's a little bit satisfying to the Genji haters out there. If we just look at this moment, we have seen some ridiculous play from Genji. As we just pause it for a sec. All right, he's ready, right? Unleash the dragon. Lots of divine shield, lots of, basically invincibility. He moves in, okay. This is, as we just slow down and pause here, this is a Genji's dream. Everyone is low, he's got his Dragon Blade activated, and he's gonna go in. He cannot contain himself. We play on this replay. He goes in. And suddenly, Bakery with the Hammer of Justice, that holy fire damage. Minute jumps on him, but he's protected. And you know what? He can get out, no problem. We pause it. This has been happening the entire tournament. Who will stop this crazy man? What about this little slug here? Suddenly, Symbiote on the minion. He uses Spike Burst and a staff, and he takes down Genji. Rip. Very nice move here. And in terms of morale, an important move as well for Team Dignitas. And even in terms of experience, it gives them the freedom to move out here. Now, here's the second moment. This was really sublime here. Noblesse. He is the anchor and the warrior of the team. He moves close. As we just pause it here for a second, he sees what he sees, right? He sees Stitches here, but it's very important for a warrior, especially around such an important tribute, to scout this area. This is all that Noblesse sees so far. He sees the Stitches. He moves away. JPL, he's got a warrior's mind. Look what JPL does. He moves up into that bush and pause. He knows how Tyraels think. Tyraels thinking like, I need a bit more information about that bush. He throws out the sword, and it's as if by divine divinity, JPL throws out the hook. Suddenly, Tyrael doesn't have an escape. He becomes a valid attack target. Yeah. He gets taken out, and it was just wonderful game sense and accuracy by JPL. And this was basically the game-winning fight, isn't it? You've got Abathur on Cursed Hollow. You can get all the experience from those juicy 1 HP minions, and you can see Dignitas snowball this fight to more victory. Jongha becomes a target with the Haka, and everyone gets taken out. And this was where Dignitas secured the 2-0 victory against L5. I can't believe I'm saying this.
That is correct. And we are joined by Bakery. I need to make sure I don't nerd out too much here as this continues on. So welcome, Bakery. Congratulations, firstly, on your victory. We have to talk about Game 1. We have to talk about those final moments. Obviously, we know how all the pieces were moving to try and keep you guys in the game, but just talk us through those final moments where you're able to secure the Immortal as well as defending the cause during all of that going on.
So I don't actually remember that very well. It was really, really hectic. But there were a lot of plays made by a lot of different people on our team. Like Greymane was doing huge amounts of damage. There were a lot of big Li Ming combos. Even I was in there getting a solo kill on Mouth, which felt really good. And Jay especially with the rewinds and the E's. And it was a real team effort. And it felt very similar to a game that we played back in December of 2016, actually, at the Gold Club World Championship. It was, again, Dragonshy that went 37 minutes and we did 6% core. But very similar to that.
Sorry about that. Of course, gentlemen, do you have any questions?
First of all, big congratulations. Wonderful, sublime performance here. I'm thinking about that Game 1 there on Battlefield of Eternity. You're up against double global. For all intents and purposes, normally not a draft that you expect on such a small map. You were able to stave off the floodgates. How were you able to do that? How did you think you were able to come back? Levels down and map pressure all around.
I'd say the main factor in that was Greymane. So we did a bit of an unconventional thing and used Greymane as kind of a pseudo-global because we knew that he kind of wins both matchups. He has a lot of pressure in both, especially if our other players are missing. So we used that so that he could clear against them, and he has very fast clear speed. So that's how we were staying in, and that's how we didn't lose. But he's still not a global, so it's still really hard to play around that 4-man because they could be 5 at any time.
So I have like just 2 questions, right? So draft-wise, yesterday versus today, does it feel like you guys got a lot more what you wanted today versus yesterday? And what was different about that part? And then secondly, you can answer both, right? Secondly, what does this victory mean to you? A 2-0, not a 1-1, and not only does it mean something in the round robin series, but what does it mean with the victory over L5 in general?
So to answer your first question there, I think yesterday we got what we wanted ourselves. But what we didn't really play around enough is that they got exactly what they wanted, and what they wanted made our comps not work at all. That definitely was the error yesterday. Today, it was much more, let's not let them get exactly what they want. Let's still get a good comfort draft for ourselves, and we know that on skill, we are one of the strongest teams in the world.
So what did you think about Game 2 and L5's draft there? We were a little bit bemused by it going into Cursed Hollow. It's not exactly something that I would say, that's L5. So what did you think about that stage of the game?
The last 2 picks surprised us.
Yeah, us too, actually. So we were going through the draft. We felt, okay, we're in a decent position. We were cautious of what they could do last, but we felt we had some good answers for what we expected. And then we saw the Ragnaros and the Zebo, and everyone on our team's like, what?
Did we hear a woohoo from Snitch?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
Was on the Illidan
was
ban,
like,
I think.
Like, on the Illidan ban in their draft. I think we heard a woohoo over here.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was an interesting situation, to say the least. So, moving forwards, into the next matches. After yesterday, confidence a bit odd, I suppose, but now surely in a good spot.
Yeah, I think these were the toughest 2 matches of this group.
Yeah.
We were very surprised by E-Star for sure, and I think we're really excited about this result against L5. I think we are the first European team to beat them.
I think so too.
That is correct,
Or
yes.
the first non-Korean team.
That's correct.
I don't think
Put us on the spot like this.
I don't think Europeans beat any Korean teams before Fnatic beat MVP Black.
Right.
It was only North America that was able to do so at the MSI Cup, if I believe correctly.
Yeah.
It's good to hear North America first.
And at BlizzCon, of course, 2015. But congratulations, L5, multi-world championship winner.
Yeah.
Now, you've got more matches coming up. Which one are you looking at, which you think could be a big challenge?
So we obviously have to be cautious of Soul Torturers. It was very amusing today. They have a different name. You know, it was a different map. They had a different Zeratul player, and yet it went the same way. Zola and Baphomet, both amazing Zeratul players, as it turns out. So we're keeping our eyes on them, definitely. But I think Tempo as well. I think that's going to be the hardest match if nothing is unexpected. I think they've improved a lot. We're going to focus on just getting what we want and playing like we did today, and I think we're pretty confident. All
right, well, thank you very much, Bakery. Good luck in your future games, of course, as we take a look now at the groups and see how everything has been shaken up today.